Okay, students, our active cycle of breathing technique. Yes. So we had discussed many things about coughing and huffing, especially, and we have seen the mucociliary transport system, how normally our system will drain this secretion automatically. Yes. So among that, we had seen about the mechanism behind the coughing and huffing. Okay. So today we will discuss a very important topic, that is active cycle of breathing technique, which can be used with the many patients who have a secretion in the chest. To clear out the secretion, this is the best technique to use where you are using combination of these: coughing, huffing, breath hold, chest expansion exercise, various things. Yes. So we'll see basics of active cycle of the breathing technique. Again, it is a combination of breathing control and cardiopulmonary physical therapy or chest expansion exercise. See, we have many chest physiotherapy, but especially so many people with respiratory diseases will be not having that breathing in a controlled manner. So breathing will be uncontrolled, like the rate will be more, respiratory rate will be too much high. So how we can take it down, how we can change the pattern, how we can remove the secretion. So with the breathing control means it is a one of type of breathing exercise, a normal diaphragmatic breathing exercise. Then thoracic expansion exercise, we can ask patient to go for expansion exercise. Then we'll go for coughing and huffing, that is there in the force expiratory technique. Yes. So FET, sometime it is called as a huff coughing, and which consists of one or two huffs with the mid and low lung volume with the glottis open. As we had discussed in the last class also, huffing is a forced expiration against open glottis, and coughing is what? Forced expiration against closed glottis. So coughing is closed glottis and huffing is open glottis. Yes, this you need to remember. So we will use the force expiratory technique, as well as we'll use the principle and benefit of diaphragmatic breathing exercise. By using the SCBT, our main aim is what? Improving the lung function by removing the bronchial secretion out, and thereby it will cause airflow obstruction decrease. So by with the use of this airway clearance technique, bronchial hygiene technique, it improves the lung function as well as it decrease the airflow obstruction, that is hyperinflation, can be reduced or can be affected. We can prevent that thing. So ultimately, the patient, when there will be a rate and rhythm problem, so ultimately we are normalizing the rate, rhythm, and pattern of breathing by giving the breathing exercise. So normal tidal breathing we have to ask patient to do, and with that, the chest and shoulder should be in a relaxed state, so we can maximize the use of diaphragm muscles. So with that breathing control or diaphragmatic breathing exercise, we are maximizing the use of diaphragm. In addition to this breathing control, we are combining the thoracic expansion exercise, TEE. In the short form, we can call it a TEE, where we will use some exercise like deep breathing exercise, for breath hold and exhalation will enhance. So will insist on the chest expansion and breath. Okay, so we were discussing about the phases of the SCBT. So in the phases of SCBT, we can include the breathing control, thoracic expansion exercise, and the force expiratory technique. Yes, are you getting me? So why we are using thoracic expansion exercise? To maximize the air entry. And when we are going for breath hold, so what happens? That collateral channels, there are types of collateral channels you will be knowing. Which one will be first one? Between the two alveoli, that is the pores of cone, isn't it? Then interbronchial channels of Martin, yes, and bronchoalveolar channels of Lambert. So channels of Lambert, channels of Martin, and pores of cone. These all three collateral ventilation will be activated when you go for breath hold, when you go for thoracic expansion exercise. And secretion removal also can be more faster, isn't it? So this SCBT will be more effective. Yes. Okay, let's see. Here they have given some information about the different lung volumes. As we had discussed about the uh, airway clearance technique in the last class, we had seen about the equal pressure point principle also. So again, when we go for huffing and coughing with the different lung volumes, as we had discussed, when you're going for low lung volume, it takes the secretion out from the peripheral. When you're going from mid lung volume, it takes out the secretion from the middle zone of the lung. And when we are taking out with the larger breath, with the high lung volume, it take out the secretion from the larger diameter airway. So how much amount of volume you are taking? You are taking more amount of lung volume. You are taking the secretion out from the more proximal airways. The same thing they are telling. So whenever you want to take the secretion out from the, if you want to dislodge the secretion from the periphery, you take low lung volume and go for huffing and coughing. Likewise, low lung volume, mid lung volume, and high lung volume. Yes. So breathing control, how much amount you can go for? So breathing control for bronchospasm, 10 to 20 seconds. It will be somewhat larger. In the patient who have not having a bronchospasm or asthmatic tendency, you can go for 5 to 10 seconds of breathing control. So higher the sensitivity of the responsiveness, so higher amount of the breathing control, more duration of their breathing control should be there. Then thoracic expansion exercise, as you know very well, deep breathing exercise. And again, you need to include here 3-second breath hold. It should be relaxed. And passive exhalation, where your recoil tendency should be in the act. Your property should be maintained. So inspiratory hold is said to have decreased collapse of the lung tissue. Whenever you are going for inspiratory hold, so the alveoli, lung tissue, it will, we can prevent the collapse. We can prevent the atelectasis of that particular alveoli when we are going for inspiratory hold or breath hold. And already I have given the mechanism also how. So we have some channels, interbronchial channels of Martin, yes, bronchoalveolar channels of Lambert, and pores of Cones. So whenever you are holding this breath, these channels will be activated, it will open, and ultimately atelectasis can be prevented. So this is called as a theory of alveolar dependence and collateral channels. Those expiratory technique what we have learned in the previous class, huffing and coughing. So it is a combination of the one or two forced expiration, that is huff, and with the period of the breathing control. See, again we are going for low lung volume to the high lung volume. So as we are decreasing the secretion from where, as we are dislodging the secretion from the periphery and moving more onto the proximal airways, so they are telling you to go for low lung volume, mid lung volume, and high lung volume, huffing and coughing. Again, any force expiratory technique will desaturate the people or individual or subject. So what you can do, again with the periodically with the huffing or coughing, you ask patient to go for breathing control. So with the breathing control, we are preventing the hypoxemia. Yes. So whenever the secretion will come onto the proximal airways or larger diameter airway, we can go for huffing and coughing. You know that the coughing will be again, it will be most effective when the secretion will be in the first to sixth or seventh bronchial bronchial airways. Yes. And you know what is the equal pressure point, where the airway pressure and the pleural pressure will be equal, where there will be a chances of airway collapse when the pressure increases. And if we use this principle properly by manipulating our breathe in, or when whatever the volume we are taking in, and depends on this equal pressure point moving upward and decrease. If we are taking smaller amount of breath, smaller amount of volume, the equal pressure point will go down. If we are taking the larger breath, then equal pressure point will be somewhat up or to the proximal airways. So depends on where the secretion is, you can take the deeper breath or shallower breath. So whenever the secretion will be in the periphery, in the alveolar level or near to respiratory bronchial, take shallower breath and go for coughing and huffing. If you feel that secretion is larger diameter airways, you take deeper breath and go for coughing and huffing. So that with the use of this theory, we can go for secretion removal. So as I discussed just now, we can use this principal equal pressure point to remove the secretion out. Yes. So it creates the shear force, and with the shear force, we can decrease the mucus viscosity, and we can take the secretion out. Now application of the SCBT. How we can apply this SCBT? So several modifications, several examples are there. So what we can do? We can do one option, that is breathing control. We can take several breaths of diaphragmatic breathing exercise. Again, some minutes of the thoracic exercise in control. Then what we can do? We can go for coughing and huffing. That is again combinedly called as a forced expiratory technique. So this is one example. You can combine two, huff also and breathing control also. Huff and again coughing. So that is a part of a breathing control. So what they said here, we can go for breathing control, thoracic expansion exercise, again breathing control, again breathing control, and again you can go for the, let me continue with the other option, that is B. You can go for breathing control, 5 to 10 second breathing control, again thoracic expansion exercise with the breath hold, again you go for breathing control, again you go for huffing, 2 huffs and breathing control, or force expiratory technique can be used in the cycle. Third option can be used with the breathing control, thoracic expansion, again breathing control, again thoracic expansion exercise, again you go for huff, breathing control, again you go for huff, breathing control. See, every time we are using breathing control just after the huff or cough. Why huff or cough? When you go for forced exhalation, it will desaturate the person. So to prevent the desaturation, to prevent the hypoxemia, we can use this force expiratory technique with the breathing control. Is it fine? So you can use this diagram to explain very clearly. Breathing control, 3 to 4 thoracic expansion exercise. Again breath control, again thoracic expansion exercise, again breath control, and you can go for force expiratory technique. That is with the huff and cough. So inside the thoracic expansion exercise, you can go for 3-second breath hold also, chest clapping also you can use, or any cardiopulmonary chest physiotherapy technique also can be used with this thoracic expansion exercise. This diagram you can use to explain your patient also, and you can use like this also. So various different diagrams you can explain to subject, and you can go for deep breaths, going for huffing, thoracic expansion exercise, force expiratory technique. This cycle will continue as on. So the this cycle you can use as per your conveniency, but the duration will be minimum for 10 minutes can be used. So what can be called as an endpoint when the effective huff to low lung volume in a 2 consecutive cycle. See, whenever you're going for huffing and there will be a no secretion sound you feel, or we can call as a non-productive, when the patient is feel that the chest is empty, then you can stop this SCBT technique. So there will be a very so many benefits are there. It is independent, without any supervision you can use. Desaturation will not be there as you are going for breathing control. No equipment needed. Yes, said there is no special disadvantages, but especially pediatric population who cannot be used in proper instruction we need to give. So if pediatric or children cannot understand, that is the main disadvantage, and evidence is little bit less. So these are the main disadvantage. Otherwise we have uh, very less amount of evidence-based practice, but so many research says that in the asthma, cystic fibrosis, and the COPD, for the chest this chest removal, chest secretion removal technique can be used in all these diseases, and which can improve the FEV1, FVC, and with the 25 percentage, so it can improve the expiratory flow also with this acidity. So with this we are stopping.